Good morning, guys. And today is 31st December 2020, Thursday, and this is the last day of year 2020. So, for the next forthcoming year, I wish you all of you a good luck ahead. That may the God bless you all and you prosper a lot in the field of your education, job, or whatever sector you are there. Okay, I wish you good luck and good health to all of you, first of all, before we start this today's topic of discussion. Okay, now let's quickly recap that what we have done yesterday, guys. Yesterday we have discussed about professional councils, or which is also known as called regulatory bodies. Don't forget that. Okay, so what are the professional councils or the regulatory bodies of UGC? Okay, and this is one of the very important topic. This has been given in your syllabus also. It has been given there as a regulatory body, so you should know that there are total 14 regulatory bodies, as I told you. Okay, guys, this is total around 14 regulatory bodies are there. Okay, and out of this 14 we have done with the 7 bodies. Okay, 7 we have done yesterday. Okay, so now today we are going ahead, one step ahead in this. Okay, so our first 7 we have done. Now the next one, okay, that will be your number 8. Okay, this will be your number 8 till 7 we have done. So today this is about Bar Council of India. The Bar Council of India is empowered to make rules to discharge its functions under the Advocate Acts 1961. Okay, an important rule making power is with reference to laying down guidelines for the standard of professional conduct and etiquette to be observed by advocates. Okay, the Bar Council of India rules may prescribe for a class of category of person entitled to be enrolled as advocate. Okay, the Bar Council of India can also specify the conditions subject to which an advocate must have the right to practice and the circumstances under which a person must be deemed to practice as an advocate in a court. Okay, the eighth after, now we have the number 9, that is Central Council of Homeopathy, that is called CCH. Okay, guys, you need to remember that is called CCH. Okay, the Central Council of Homeopathy was established under the Homeopathy Central Council Act. Okay, it was established under Homeopathy Central Council Act 1973. The council prescribed a recognition all homeopathic medicines qualification. Any university or medical institution that desires to grant a medical qualification in homeopathy is required to apply to the council. Okay, for this they have to apply to this council. Okay, that is CCH. Okay, the council is responsible for constitution and maintenance of the central register of homeopathy and for matters connected therewith. Okay, this is what the council is responsible for: the constitution and maintenance of the central register of the homeopathy and for the matters connected therewith. Okay, now all universities and the boards of medical institution in India are required to furnish all information regarding courses of study and examination. The council is empowered to appoint inspectors at examinations and visitors to examine facilities. Okay, guys, our number 10. Okay, number 10, this is about CCIM, the Central Council for Medicine, Indian Medicine. Okay, the Central Council of Indian Medicine is the statutory. Statutory is what? Statutory is something which is abided by law, okay, or made by law. So it's a statutory body, okay, constituted under the Indian Medicine Central, okay, it's under Indian Medicine Central Council Act in 1970. This was, okay. Now this council prescribed minimum standards of education in India, Indian systems of medicine, which Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani, Tib. Okay, the council is responsible to maintain a central, and what is their responsibility? To maintain a central register on Indian medicine and prescribe standards of professional conducts, etiquettes, and code of ethics to be observed by the practitioners. Okay, this is all is the responsibility of it. The council is empowered. Okay, now what power it has? It can appoint the medical inspectors. Okay, to observe at the conduct of examination and visitors to inspect the facilities in colleges, hospitals, and other institutions imparting the instruction in Indian medicine. Okay, so all the institutions in India which are providing the knowledge related to the Indian medicine, they are supposed to take permission from Central Council for Indian Medicines. Okay, And this CCIM is responsible for appointing and giving them the examiner, visiting faculty, lecturer, etc. Okay. The council is responsible to frame the regulation with respect. Okay, now we are this. Let's see that how this your CCIM is responsible. Okay, the council means CCIM is responsible to frame the regulation with respect to. Okay, the first one is the courses and the period of study, including the practical training. Okay, what will be the course? What will be the duration of the course? How will be the practical training to the course? Okay, to be undertaken the subject or the examination. Okay, even the examination. This all comes under the control of CCIM, and the standards of proficiency therein, okay, to be obtained in any university board or medical institutions for grant of recognized medical qualifications. Okay, now the second function is the standard of staff, equipment, accommodation, training, and other facilities for education in Indian medicine. Okay, and the third point for them is the conduct of professional examination, etc. Okay. Okay, guys, so this is all about your CCIM. All right, this is your 10th regulatory body of UGC. Okay, now next is our 11th one. Okay, 11th is our Council of Architecture, which we can say as COA. Okay, the Council of Architecture COA was constituted under the provision of the Architect Act 1972, enacted by the Parliament of India. The Act provides for registration of architecture, standards of education, recognized qualification, and standard of practice to be compiled with the practicing architects. The Council of Architecture is responsible to regulate, means to operate, okay, the education and practice of professions throughout India, besides maintaining the register of architects. Any person, okay, desirous, means willing of the carrying on the profession of architect must register himself with the Council of Architecture. Okay, so you should know this thing, that if anybody wants to do the architecture course, so their person should be registered with the Council of Architecture. Okay, let's we move further. The registration with the Council of Architecture entitles a person to practice the profession of architecture, okay, provided he hold a certificate of registration, okay, with up-to-date renewals. The registration also entitles a person to use the title or and the style of architect. The title and the style of architect can also be used by a firm of architects of which all the partners are registered with COA, that is Council of Architect. Limited companies, okay, private public companies, societies, and other judicial persons are not entitled to use the title, okay, and style of architect, nor are they entitled to practice the profession of architect until and unless they are not registered under COA. So these days, you guys must have seen that there are people, any Tom, Dick, and Harry can open its own shop or whatever it is, and they make their own office and they sit over there as an architect, whether they have the professional degree or not. Okay, but this is actually wrong. Okay, but anyway, let's go with our topic ahead. Okay, guys, let's see further. The practice of the profession of an architect is governed by the architects, okay, the professional conducts, okay, Regulation 1989, as amended means some changes were brought in this in 2003. Okay, which deals with the professional ethics and etiquettes, conditions of engagement and scale of charges, architectural competitions, guidelines, etc. Okay, pursuant to these regulations, the Council of Architects has framed guidelines governing the various aspects of practice. The Council prescribed qualification and standards of education being imparted in institutions imparting architecture education. Uh, it is set forth the requirement of eligibility for admission, course duration, standards of staff and accumulation, course content examination, etc. These standards, as provided in the said regulations, are required to maintain by the institutions. The COA, the Council of Architects, oversees the maintenance of the standards periodically by way of conducting inspections through committees of experts. Okay, so how do they observe all these things? They observe by the way of conducting inspection through committee of experts. Okay, the CO is required to keep the central government informed of the standards, okay, and also they are supposed to inform whom? They are supposed to inform central government about all these checks, informed of the standards being maintained by the institution, and is empowered to make recommendation to the government of India with regard to recognition and de-recognition of a qualification. Okay. At number 12, under the professional council, we have RC, that is the Rehabilitation Council of India. Okay, was set up and registered society in 1986. This was set up in 1986. However, it was soon found that a society could not ensure the proper standardization and acceptance of the standards by other organizations. The Parliament enacted Rehabilitation Councils of India Act in 1992. Okay, enacted the Rehabilitation Council Act in 1992. The Rehabilitation Council of India became a statutory body on 2nd June 1993. That you need to remember. Okay, that when it got the legal authentication. Okay, that was on 2nd June 1993. You see the date again. All right. The act was amended by the Parliament in 2000. Okay, and this was some changes were brought in it in 2000 to work it more broad based. Okay, the act casts onerous responsibility. Okay, here. Okay, in the sense of one. Okay, a very important responsibility on the council. It also prescribed that anyone delivering the services to people with disability, okay, who does not possess the qualification recognized by RCI, that is Rehabilitation Council of India, could be prosecuted. Okay, means some kind of penalty or punishment can be given. Okay, if anybody is not following this rule of this. Thus, the council has a twin responsibility of standardizing and regulating the training of personnel and professional in the field of rehabilitation and special education. Okay guys, now we are at the number 13 under the professional council or the regulatory bodies. Okay, number 13 we have National Council for Rural Institutes, that's NCRI. Okay, that is National Council of Rural Institute, is an autonomous, okay, means the self-financed kind of self-independent society. Okay, fully funded by, okay, it is fully funded by Ministry of HRD, Government of India. Registered on 19th October 1995. Okay, so when what it was registered on 19th October 1995. Okay, with its headquarters at Hyderabad. Okay, where is its headquarters located? At Hyderabad. Okay, it was, you should remember this, the Hyderabad is headquarters, and it was established with a main objective of promoting the rural higher education. Okay, and what is the aim of this? Is promoting the rural higher education for advancing the rural livelihoods. Okay, with the instrument of education on the lines of Mahatma Gandhiji's revolutionary concept of Nai Talim. Okay, they may ask you this of Nai Talim. Okay, if Nai Talim, a functional education based on values proposed by Gandhiji, they may ask you. So you should know what is the Nai Talim is. Okay, so Nai Talim is a functional education based on the values proposed by Gandhiji. Okay. Other objectives of the councils include the teachers training. Okay, and what else it can? Other objectives include teachers, that is teachers training, extensions and research by networking with policy making bodies such as UGC, AICT, research organizations like CSIR, AICTE, etc. In addition to encourage the other educational institutions and volunteer agencies to develop in accordance with Gandhian philosophy of education. So they may ask you a question that which regulatory bodies work according or on the principle of Gandhi's philosophy. Okay, so that you should know that is NCRI. Okay, that is NCRI, that is your National Council of Rural Institution. Okay, or institute. Okay guys, now this is our 14th and the last one, which you should know, the State Council of Higher Education, that is SCHE. Okay, SCHE, this is State Council of Higher Education. The following the national policy on education respective the state government have established the State Council of Higher Education. These councils are prepared coordinated program for development of higher education in each state. Okay, thus they seek to consolidate the efforts and investment of institution of higher education with the state. Okay, so with this guys we have completed with all the 14 regulatory bodies. Now you should know which are these bodies, what are their function, and what work they look into. Okay, so I hope that you all liked it. Okay, if you have liked, then kindly like, subscribe and share with your friends. I wish you good luck and hope to see you in the next video. Till then, bye bye.